You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If on the other hand you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done for professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back on this Veterans Day, Monday, the 12th day of November, 2018. This show dedicated in memory to my brother, Jeffrey Allen Reeves. Love you. All right, got to chart up the S&P 500 E-mini futures. What a Labor Day it has been. The Dow is now down 387 points. S&P is down as well. So is the Russell, so is the NASDAQ. A lot has happened since the Globex Open last night. That it was a whimper of an open, but boy, it got up and got going pretty quick. Cash market-wise, okay, that's not even accurate. Let's try that again. There we go. Dow down 382 points. The NASDAQ down 104 45 points. That's almost 2%. S&P 500 down 33 points, and the Russell 2000 down 25. Big red radio day. In the commodity basket, crude oil is up 74 cents. Now, I'm going to show you something in a bit on crude. We had a gap higher open that has not closed. Very unusual for futures. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Gold is down $4.40, trading 1204.20 last. In the Asian markets, at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 16, make that 19 points. Shanghai was up by 31, Hang Seng up by 31. In the European markets, red day there as well. FTSE closed down 52 points. The DAX was down 203. For the DAX, that is a lot. That's almost 2%. And the CAC was down almost 1%, shedding 47 points by the close. So we have a solid green day in Asia. No big numbers, but a green day nonetheless. A red day in the United Kingdom. And here at home in the US of A, Veterans Day. See, this is what happens when you open the markets on Veterans Day and make people work. See? God don't like ugly. Just saying. Again, the Dow down 382 points. NASDAQ down 146. S&P 500 down 33. And the Russell 2000 down 23. Is the market attempting to stage a recovery? Yes. How difficult will that be? Let me show you. Last night, we cautioned in the live alert channel that the potential today for, or in this session, for a head fake was there. And it was, in fact, I said the potential for the ultimate head fake, ultimate, UHF. Everybody this morning is like, what's UHF? What's he talking about? Oh, go back to, okay, week 14. Last night's commentary. Oh, okay. Indices are just about at the point where reversal becomes a high probability. The current 30-minute candle and the next may give us some indication as to how serious the buyers are. And it showed us they weren't that serious. Remember, it takes financial commitment for prices to rise. Always remember that. For prices to fall, all that's required is for buyers to stop buying. No financial commitment. Now, we are neither buyers nor sellers. We're opportunists. Whatever opportunity the market presents, we're ready. Long or short matters not. Note, we are now back to the ES weekly tradings. And now these, were dribbled out as the session progressed. This one was at 5:45 p.m. Mountain, 7:15 p.m. Mountain. If you hovered over this on yours, and if you're on the East Coast, it would show East Coast time. All right. We are now back to the weekly trading zone, 2789/2790. That's this guy. Just as we were hitting that, okay, that's when I put this up. Okay. It's another example of how important prices in important areas are almost always tested. If you'll look here, you see what we did? This was Friday. Friday afternoon, we rallied into the close. Well, actually sold off into the close. Yeah. All right. This was last night's rally picking up here, November 11th, right? Let me just show you which candle. There we go. Okay. That's a good bingo. That's the opening candle from last night, Globex. No gap. Okay. I'll drag this back up. There we go. Approaching weekly trading zone from below. Challenging Friday's late rally high. That's what we just looked at. Important prices, important areas. Indicators pinched in a no-fly zone. Okay. See, as the world sees you got a low, you got a swing high, you got a higher low. And so as you take out this high, the world says, woo, let's go long. Let's go long, baby. Let's go long. But we were a little cautious and said, no. We said, something about a head fake. I don't know. Table is now being set. No matter what is served, we will dine. And we did. Oh, did we dine? Our NQ, the last time I checked it this morning, the NQ alert was down about 20, or up about $2,500 per contract. Yeah, I challenged the guys last night, and ladies. We've done 2,600 contracts in the last 15 minutes on the ES. On a Sunday night Globex, is that a lot or not? Take notes. Be aware when unusual volume surges take place. Be extremely cautious when large volume moves but price doesn't spike. When that happens, run your support and resistance, dynamic indicator dots, or a 30-minute chart to stay on the profitable side of the market to the best of your ability. The market's not your enemy. Make it your partner. You can also run those dots on a volume chart. If you're looking at the S&P, run a 10,000 contract volume chart with those SR dots. They will guide you. Okay. Oh, everybody. CFRN has had morning prayer for years before the market opens at 9 a.m. Eastern. Of late, I've not been able to be there personally. It is my goal to begin being there personally this week again. I was there in the beginning. I've been on hiatus, but I'll be back. So that number right there, jot it down. 605-475-2090. Jot down the access code, 306-798. There's no agenda, no preaching. It's just some men and women coming together before they go to work to put God first. That's simple. For the indices, we have either the ultimate head fake or the market is about to attempt a leg to the upside. Patience will tell us exactly what to do. And patience wins once again. And this morning, that sparked the controversy. What's a UHF? What's he talking about? What's a UHF? Ultimate head fake. That's what we got. Because the world thought we were going higher. We weren't convinced. Because we had, look, this layer, weekly trading zone from last week. We got this right here. Couldn't buy it. And that led us to this, which is good. Now, this week's zones come into play, but I won't be displaying this week's zones until Thursday, as I normally do. Now, we'll get into a lot more as the show progresses. We're not going to stay a long time today. It's Veterans Day, and Michael and I both agree that, you know, people shouldn't work on it. But we take the day off for Columbus. Now, I got much respect for Columbus, right? If it wasn't for Chris, I don't know, we might all be speaking with a funny accent. It's possible. But can't take the day off for Veterans Day. Now, if John saw this, he would call it an island something. Okay, if that's an island top, then the crude market is in big trouble. And I don't see how it could be an island bottom, but it's an island. You see, the gap is not closed. And I tell you, in futures, unclosed gaps, they just don't happen. Not on my watch, not since I've been watching. Yeah. All right. All right, let's get rid of that. I have a little bit of news for you. Just a little. Starship Enterprise. Captain Kirk wants you to know that he knows his crypto. After admitting back in June that he didn't fully understand the Bitcoin mining business that he was getting into, William Shatner, the original Captain Kirk, wants you to know, and you, and you, and you, that he has gone on a tweet storm showing everybody how much he's learned. Besides discussing developments in smart contracts, Shatner, Captain Kirk, also dropped a truth bomb on Tether. He wrote, "I know how smart contracts work. That's really not hard. What's more mind-bending is Tether being supposedly linked to the dollar, but being worth less than $1. I would say it's definitely linked, right? Obviously having a lot of fun with this dive into the world of crypto, the TV star was also happy to engage with fans about, I can't believe I'm saying it, crypto kitties. And after learning that he can breed them, Shatner joked that he is now waiting for the accessories, the Crypto Kitty Dream House and the Crypto Kitty Corvette. VersaBank, previously Pacific and Western Bank of Canada, is a Canadian chartered bank publicly traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange. It announced Thursday it has completed beta testing for its digital safety deposit box and is now starting to offer the new service to crypto exchanges and crypto-based investment funds. The company states it does not have the ability to drill into a client's deposit box or to examine its contents. President and CEO David Taylor said, "While many are considering ideas and plans for a digital safety deposit box, we have designed and built it and are now commercializing a first-of-its-kind service that provides our clients with the most sophisticated security and authentication technology available globally, in which our clients enjoy absolute privacy." Bye-bye, Switzerland. Hello, Versa. The Versa Vault will now begin rolling out services to cryptocurrency exchanges and crypto investment funds. How much money evaporates? It's going to be interesting. Earlier this month, it was reported that a U.S. federal court had ordered the freezing of Charlie Shrem's accounts on Coinbase and Zappo. This was done after he was hit by a lawsuit alleging that the early Bitcoin pioneer had stolen about 5,000 Bitcoin from the founders of the Gemini exchange. But in what might be an indication of the merits of the allegations, the court has reversed the asset freezing order in a hearing just this past Thursday. Now Shrem can go back to his luxury shopping spree and maybe get a third Maserati. London's Metro Police revealed Friday that a 43-year-old Swedish man was sentenced to 6.5 years in jail for mailing a homemade bomb to a Bitcoin company. Jerry Michael Salonen, found guilty of attempted murder for sending a bomb to CryptoPay, a UK-based crypto wallet and payment solution. According to the Met Police, the motive for his actions is that he was locked out of his account, unable to access his funds, after losing his password. In August 2017, he asked CryptoPay to reset his password and send him a new one, but the company refused as this contravened their privacy policy. Now, the head of the Met Police Counterterrorism Command said that this guy, Salonen, seemingly made and sent a device that had the capability to seriously harm and even kill over something as inconsequential as a change of password. Fortunately, the bomb did not detonate. It was due to sheer luck that the recipient ripped open the package in the middle rather than using the envelope flap, which would have activated the device. Whoa. Talk about a close call. Didn't get any closer than that. In other news, the Great Lakes Science Center, an engineering and technology museum in Cleveland, Ohio, made an announcement today that they will begin accepting cryptocurrency payments on November 13th. The educational center is integrating BitPay into its payment system for ticket sales ahead of a blockchain conference that will be held at the facility in December. Silver Miller, a Florida headquartered law firm, said on Thursday that it recently filed a number of arbitration claims against AT&T and T-Mobile on behalf of crypto holders who have fallen victim to SIM jacking Do not let your SIM get jacked. The firm revealed it already represents one of AT&T's clients who was robbed of more than $600,000 in crypto, as well as 2 T-Mobile clients who respectively lost $400,000 and $250,000 due to SIM jacking. By leaving holes in their security protocols and failing to properly train and monitor their employees, cell phone providers have assisted thieves in remotely taking over the SIM cards in people's smartphones, according to the law firm. It also called on anyone else who has been a victim of SIM jacking to join its legal efforts against the phone companies that enabled it. And this commercial will follow the mesothelioma commercial that seems to play once every 15 minutes. And my heart goes out to those who suffer from this, but sometimes these attorneys, if they're ambulance chasing ways, get a little bit aggressive. Hey, but who am I to judge? All right, well, we've done a little bit of news, right? We looked at the numbers. Let's look at them again. Michael should be ready to come in and give us a recap of what happened in the live trading room today. One last look at the numbers before we shove off. Well, I'll be back with John, I think. The Dow now down 400 points. NASDAQ down 150. S&P 500 down 35. The Russell 2000 down 15. If you've not listened to the podcast Dirty John, based on a true story, yeah, if you're looking for something to listen to, I give it a thumbs up. It doesn't have a happy ending, but then you wouldn't expect it to with a name like Dirty John, would you? Michael, you ready to rock and roll?
I am. I am.
Let's do this thing.
Alright, let's do this. Here we go. Bring it over here. There. Alright.
Let me drag this up to the big screen for the folks on the YouTube. And okay, I'll hit mute and be here when you're done. Are we talking 2 minutes or 10?
We only had 3 trades, so it's going to be just a couple of minutes. Right. There's not a lot of time.
All right.
Not a lot.
I'll stick around.
All right. Okay, here we go. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, Veterans Day, the 12th day of November, 2018. If you have not taken a free trial, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. And right here on this side, it says apply.cfrn.net. If you click there, you'll be brought to this page where all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit that submit button, and you will be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. Okay? Okay. Recaps. Today, first of all, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you're going to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, as I said, is the 12th day of November, 2018. We made 5 ticks on crude, and we lost 8 ticks on the ES. That gave us our first red day since all the way back here. We had a red day back here in September. On the 26th of September. But that's what we get for trading on a holiday. Anyway, so we didn't get our goal for the day. We only took 3 trades. On the month now, we are at $978. That's over 8 days, averaging $122 per day. And on the year, we're at $32,357. That's over 210 days, averaging $154 per day. Okay? Okay. So let's go over what we did or didn't do. We didn't do anything with gold today. You can see right here, gold was really choppy. It got up in here, didn't give us a trade setup. Got up in here, the cycle was too flat, and in the middle, didn't give us a trade setup. Then we're in the break right here. Okay, so even during the break, I wouldn't have done anything. Gold was just a mess. The euro, we didn't do anything with the euro either. You see in here, during the morning session, the euro was just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and not trending. Then we got into the break and it started to trend a little bit. Got over here and it was just stuffed here at dynamic resistance for the longest time. It did eventually give a trade setup right here that would have been a break even, and that was all during the break. Crude oil. Well, crude we had missed a couple of trades here. Okay, starting here, we missed a short there. We missed a long right there, it looks like. We missed a long there. And then it started to move up kind of regularly, but kind of in a pattern or kind of trending. But the cycle was not giving it to us until way over here. We finally got a break even there, and then it was just whipping back and forth. And we didn't do anything with it until it came down here, and we had lower highs and lower lows. And we took a short there. We picked up 5 ticks on that. And that was it for the morning session. During the break, we really didn't get anything during the break either. You know, the markets, all the markets. You know, you're going to look at the ES, and if you look at the ES on a, let's say, a 15-minute, you see it was just going straight down. It looks like it would be easy to trade. We did get down to that 36-37 zone, and we were looking for a bounce off of that. We did get a bounce. So far, the bounce has only been about 11 points. But in the morning session, on the ES, we had one trade setup that we took, and it stopped us out pretty much to the tick, and then it went and did what it should have done and went down. Hang on, I'll find it for you. Here it is right here. I was telling everybody in the morning session how I don't like trading near the weekly trading zones. Well, here is why. I went short right here. It went right up to the zone, stopped us out, and then went all the way down here. Well, it actually kept going down after that. But and let's see, was that along? There was a bounce off the BBC right here. That could have been taken. And a short in here that could have been taken. One there also. And one there that I missed. And I apparently wasn't watching the ES very closely, or we would have gotten some of these shorting opportunities right here. There was one right there, and another one. Oh, the cycle was going up too steep there. There was a long right there. It would have been a break even. And then we get into the break. Well, there was a short right in here down to the zone, but that was actually too close to the zone to take. Now he changed directions and we're in the break here, but we had a bounce off the BBC right there that I still wouldn't have done because we weren't really trending very well. There was another one right there that would have been okay. It reversed, went right back down to the zone again. Let me just highlight this zone. And then it had along there, and along there, and that was it. And that was it on the morning session, guys. So, to sum it all up again, we'll recap it. Today, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today was the 12th day of November, 2018. We made 5 ticks on crude, and we lost 8 ticks on the ES. It put us at minus 50 overall. We took 3 trades this morning. And on the month now, we're at $978. That's over 8 days, averaging $122 per day. On the year now, we're at 32,357. That's over 210 days, averaging $154 per day. Now that is one contract, 2 hours per day. Okay, one contract, 2 hours per day. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page here at CFRN.net. And right over here, it says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. Click that, and you will be brought to this page where all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Click the submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. So you got to do that, all right? Make sure you do that. And with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready. Okay, Dwayne is not ready. So we'll look at the ES again. 3637 is the zone. We're breaking dynamic support right here. Okay, Dwayne is taking the charts back. But
he's taking it back.
We do not have any audio from Dwayne.
No audio. No audio. Warning. Warning. Danger, Will Robinson.
Okay. Dwayne has the charts back.
Yeah, I got the audio too.
Okay. Now you got the audio.
Too many buttons, too many switches. Too many threads from Yatharth. God bless you, Yatharth.
Yatharth. Yeah, I know. What
That's
the heck?
Apparently that's a very popular name in India.
Is it?
I tried to track him down and I got lost when I clocked 1 million of them. So anyway, it's like Smith or Jones or something, perhaps. Remember Alias Smith and Jones? Uh-oh, look at there, guys. Now, why is this no surprise? Because we know that markets go leg, retrace, leg, retrace, leg, tiny retrace, leg, retrace. That's just how it goes. And when do we think it will stop? I can tell you precisely when it will stop. When the CFMA1 turns blue and crosses the BBC, there's a good chance it will be over. This one, all it did was cross right into a weekly trading zone. Yes, last week's zone, but this was Sunday night. And Sunday night, all we have to guide us, or all the passport holders and partners have to guide them, is last week's zone until they get the new zones in hand. But these still have impact. Monday, Tuesday, you can feel it even up to Wednesday, a lot of weeks. And so we saw this as just getting slammed into a brick wall, which it did. It spiked it a little bit. But then the true nature was revolved right here at about 4:30 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Eastern, 3:30, somewhere in there, right after the London Open. There you go. London Open took it down. So we get a leg and we get a retracement right back to the BBC. Now, this is a 30-minute chart. And then, now we go. Looks fairly obvious that the market's going to attempt now on this leg to get down to, now it'll have a, all right, hey, here's your Veterans Day freebie. We're sitting right on top of this week, one of this week's weekly trading zones right here. We said earlier it should give it a bounce. It's giving it a bounce. We only have one weekly trading zone this week, current week, below this. Now, it's a ways down, less than 50 points, but it's a ways. So, could the market go there? Well, it'll have to work hard not to at this point. This does not look like a convincing turnaround to me. This looks like some buyers got together and said, hey, let's see if we can rally this thing up out of here. And as long as this is red and falling, also take note here how I have my volume set up, okay? I just want to see these numbers spin. I don't really care about the bars or any of that, but I know that right now in this 30-minute candle, which we're 3 minutes into, 3 minutes into this candle, we've already traded 14,700, 800, 9. We'll be at 15,000 here in a second. 15,000. And I know that the average true range of the last 48 candles, the average true range from the high to the low is 5.81. So think about this. If I'm going to put on a trade, and if I don't get triggered in a 30-minute time frame, what does that do to my entry and my stop? Now, there's no right or wrong answer. I just want you to think it through for yourself. Okay? All right. John's not here, is he?
No. No, John is not here.
Yeah, he probably thinks we're closed today.
Oh, no, he is here. He is here.
He is here. Well, good. Then he knows we're not closed today.
Okay. Yeah, he is here.
If you can open it up if you want. Maybe catch him before he gets distracted.
Okay. I just popped it.
Guys, you all see this, okay? As long as this is red and falling, and as long as this is red and falling, do not even think about going long. Okay? Sure, you can fade the trade. You can trade counter trend if you're aware that's what you're doing. If you know you're trading counter trend, if you know you're swimming upstream, that's one thing. But to blindly think, oh, here comes a rally. Yeah, right up to here, if that, more likely here, and possibly no further than here. Another leg to the downside. 20/28.
Okay.
John, is that you?
Yeah, it looks pretty grim.
Yes, it does. My goodness.
Yeah,
Well, I got a new phone number for you. I need to give you. I'll email
great.
it to you. Okay.
Thanks. Because I tried your other one numerous times.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I apologize.
Okay.
Probably send that to me too.
It's kind of a grim day all around the markets today.
Yeah, it is, John. What do you think? What do you think transpired? This thing last night, as we were watching it on Globex and sending out the alerts, we did not think it was going to rally up out of here because of this weekly zone. So it was kind of a head fake. And then it rolled over right after the London Open. Was there any news, anything of...
Well, I can tell you what happened. Look, I think it opened down. You know, the market opened. It sold off, probably 5 S&P points, something like that.
Yeah, right here, right on that candle.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it took off and turned back up, and it took off. We actually kind of nailed that low last night and took a shot at it, and then it rallied up, and then in the middle of the night, it was literally up there at around that high point, around 27.95 or so, and we put a sell on it. And when I came in this morning, it was, on the way down, and we just stayed with it all the way down, because first of all, there was a very alarming kind of almost, well, let's go to last night first. The reason it rallied, I think the Alibaba record-breaking 31 billion in a day was, when you think of it, $31 billion in revenues in one day, and the stock still went down, tells you that, I guess the stock rallied initially during the night.
Oh, that's right. Yesterday was Singles Day. I completely
forgot. And then they sold it off. And, the Nikkei, which I get live updates on, that rallied. In fact, the Nikkei went from 22,100 up to 22,500 during the night. Oh, sorry, 22,300, and then it went into a down. Started going down, and so it didn't look, to be honest with you, it didn't look like it was gonna fall after such a great rally last night. You know what I mean? Right. And then it started, deteriorating, and it's gone into a bit of a rout. Now, we are in a bit of a rally mode at the moment. I suspect this is kind of like you just said. It's, while you can't rule out getting up to 27.60 or 58 or somewhere, 56. The potential to roll over from here is fairly high, barring some kind of news, and the terrifying thing, if you like, is we've had a kind of another 87 type scenario sneak up on us, except it's a little bit different because of the way the markets acted on Thursday and Friday. We made the high sometime around midday Thursday, started selling off, turned into a bit of a rout on Friday. Then we had a bit of a late rally. But it is a kind of a mini 87 type setup, especially if we roll over this afternoon and there's some kind of a panic. We're down 400 at the moment. If we suddenly go down 600-700 today, it means we're probably in for some trouble tomorrow. So the question is somebody going to step in and try and push this market up to prevent an 87 setup, or are they just got their heads in the sand today and not paying attention? Could be the case. So we are in some sort of jeopardy here, because it's a very bad structure. This structure that's developed here. It's a sort of a waterfall. It's almost a waterfall decline that's feeding on itself, and those big red bars down there is pretty heavy selling. And there was an article that came out over the weekend. The Swiss bank, the Swiss Central Bank of Switzerland, which was getting criticized for holding $50 billion worth of stock a while back. I think they probably got about 75 or maybe closer to 100 billion. They actually got out of Apple right at the top in late September. And I think they got out of some other stocks as well. So, the way this works is when a big whale like the Central Bank of Switzerland sells, it's hard to sell when you're that size without people on Wall Street picking up on it, and that's probably one of the things that helped trigger the sell-off in early October, along with the Saudis possibly, and some of these sovereign funds and things. So the die was cast, and now Apple's are actually rebounding a bit now, but the fact that it's down, the gap down today, and is sort of leading the market down is a kind of a dangerous sign, because when this Apple gets into a corrective, we haven't been in a corrective mode for quite a while on Apple, and just like Amazon, unraveled, the fangs unraveled, Apple's unraveling. It's buying at these sort of levels is really like trying to catch a falling knife, and it's pretty dangerous, because if we do have a bad sell-off this afternoon, we're down 600-700 points, or even hang on a second.
Go ahead. If this current 30-minute candle closes red, downtrend resumes, cute little bounce, 35 to 49, weekly zone at 36.37 this week, last week, this week, right here, 36.37. See it's catching a bounce. That next leg, take us down. All right, let's jump into what we did. Do Concierge Trade Alerts today. Oh, we had a webinar Friday afternoon. Anyone who did not make it to the webinar, I do have the video. If you need the video, I will put it into the channel, or into the chat here shortly. Remind me if I forget. Okay, if you want a copy of the Concierge Trade Alerts from last night, I'm going to drag those onto the screen here. Get your camera ready. Sunday night, 8:05, we got them out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. On the S&P, we said to consider selling 27.72, which is right here. Now that triggered at 8 a.m. this morning, but it went out, the alert went out at 8 p.m. Eastern last night. When do you find that a dynamic alert in the 24/7 alert channel, when you get an alert there, and it coincides with a Concierge Trade Alert that was issued potentially many hours earlier in the same session, you want to pay careful, special attention to those. So this was a CTA, so 27.72. From 72, we've dropped to 34. It's 38 S&P points at $50 per point. if it were 40 points at $50 a point, that would be $2 grand. But it's 38 points, which means you're 2 points off. 2 points is $100, $50 a point. So how much? $1,900. That's per contract available. Has there been an exit signal yet? No. No exit signal yet. Let's double check that. Nope. Step line needs to hook a right. And then we need a green candle to close above on the back side of the CFMA1. That's an exit signal to the tick. Okay. So on an extended move like this, you're never at a loss as to when the market is telling you to get out. Not somebody on TV or the radio or the internet or some magic numbers or a crystal ball or an algorithm. The market says, hey, you should probably get out. I take that seriously. So we don't have that yet. Could it happen here? No. Because if this candle were to close green, while it would be above the step line has not effectively crossed the CFMA1 yet. It's riding it, but it hasn't crossed. Take a couple more candles for that. See how you can kind of breathe a sigh of relief? Whew, okay, I don't have to make any snap decisions. Okay. He said the market's going to tell me. It will. It will. Market took a simple entry and handed you a $1,900 per contract trade so far. But there's still no exit signal. There could be more. Said the red candle. Okay, on the Dow. Same thing, bearish cross, leg, retrace back to the BBC, and the bottom falls out. All right, bring it on. Go ahead, John.
Okay, sorry, thanks. So a couple of surprises overnight. The as you probably know, the oil popped.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this, because we talked about it a minute ago. Let me get all these little drawings out of the way.
There were two reasons for that. One was the OPEC. You know, a week ago, they were talking about breaking up OPEC. And
let me ask you a question, John. Could this be could this be an island top?
It could do. Yeah. It's kind of a definitely if it breaks down from here. You know, this is the typical thing. Where they said they were going to cut supply by 1 million barrels, and so that plus the cold weather probably helped the oil higher. I think the cold weather, because it's going to be pretty brutal over the next few days, may be enough to get it up back up to the 61.5, maybe 62, and then it could go down again, have another test afterwards. But you gotta, when the weather gets really cold, you got to be careful of being short oil, you know. And coming back from this 59.40 area was pretty you know, listen, the market fell a long way, but this is a kind of a bearish, you know, rally, if you like, a kind of a sucker rally possibly. So, and the whole thing is this, you know, look, Trump, one of the things that Trump didn't want to, you know, was trying to engineer, if you like, was to keep the price of oil down going into the elections, because that can be a swinger, you know, when people think the gas prices are too high, that can affect their vote. So he did a pretty good job of lowering the oil prices right before the election, but whether that translated into the gasoline or not. Oh, hang on a sec. Let me get this.
Hi, John. You still there? He's gone. I'm gone. All these phones ringing. You know what? I may just stopped the whole phone business. It's not any fun anymore. It was cool for a while, smartphone. Oh, you can tell the weather, check your email, surf the net, but they never stop. There's always some notification, some new thing popping up. Whoop, 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 touch me, see me. Oh, that's Tommy the Rock Opera. Okay. See me. All right, enough. Okay, so we were looking at the Dow, and the Concierge Trade Alert said to sell 25,900. And from 25,900 we dropped to 25,550. So 350 Dow points. 350 Dow points. When's the last time you took 350 Dow points out of the market? $5 per point. 1,700 bucks. No exit signal. On these extended moves, if you don't take advantage of the exit signal, which will tell you to the tick what price to get out at, then I mean, that's a lot to leave on the table. It is. On this chart, I mean, nothing, once we started the extended move, nothing said get out. This right here, this little bounce, this failed bounce, is the closest thing to a get out of here signal that the market's given. So you just have to be patient. On the Russell, let's see what we got here. Now, as soon as I'm done recapping this, we're going to jump to the good word for the day, and I'm going to go. I got mentoring sessions this afternoon. Russell, sell 1546 according to the Concierge Trade Alert. Okay, here's 1546. And from 1546 we hit 1520. So we got about 15 points at $50 per point. No. Let me rethink that. From 46 to 20, we got about 25 points at $50 a point. That sounds more like it. $1,200–1,300, somewhere in there. Lag, retrace, lag. Crude, we said to consider being long 61.20, swing high. It's 28. So that was good for a stop out. We also said to consider being short 60.40. And that was good for, look at that. Nope. That was good for a stop out. Now, I'm obligated to put out alerts on crude. In lieu of this at the open, I wasn't too excited, but hey, that's the truth about trading. That's one thing you'll learn here. If you don't learn it anywhere else, you'll learn here the truth about trading, and that's that some trades get stopped out. NQ. Let's just take a look-see at the NQ. Last night, Concierge Trade Alert, consider selling 70.28. 70.28. Now, if you ever thought the Concierge Trade Alerts were a little too rich for your blood, and I want you to take a look at this trade and then revisit that thought. Your blood may be richer than you think, or not. All right, the number again was 70.28. 7028. Okay. Now, once you get into this trade, what do you have to do? That's right, nothing. You do absolutely nothing. The swing low was 68.27. 70.28. Swing low. 68.26. All right, that's 202 points at $20 per point. $4,000 per contract available with no exit signal yet. Now for the 10 contract trader, is that 40,000? It is. Is there enough volume to support someone trading 10 contracts? Well, we just got a new 30-minute candle right there. We've not hit the 1 minute mark yet, and we've traded, well, you can see right here. See the spinning number? See how many we can do in 1 minute. We got 30 seconds so far. Will we hit it that? Now, I put some questions into the alert channel last night, asking people to look at volume, look at the time, and is this normal for the S&P? Whatever market you're trading, if you have unusual volume conditions, you should at least be aware. Now, we don't trade based on volume. We're not the, you know what I'm talking about. We don't do that. But when there's unusual volume, you should at least be aware. Maybe just to get out of the way. Or maybe you understand enough that you are able to somehow use that to your advantage. But the most important thing is to simply, it's kind of like knowing there's going to be a big news announcement, Fed announcement, crude oil inventories, the WASD. If it's big news, we stand down. We want high probability trade setups with high probability results. We don't want gambling setups with gambling outcomes. Okay, so the NQ, go NQ. And last night on gold, there we go. Gold, consider selling 1206. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. 1206, and we made it down to 1204.3. It's not quite 2 points. We also had a 24/7 alert at that same price. That's going to have to be marked as a PT, and then this one over here did run to the target. If you were listening to Bloomberg today, you heard that the bond market was the only market closed, right? That's what the newspaper said.
Hi, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Go ahead. Hey, John, you know, the bond market was supposed to be closed today, but it was open. But it was open.
I think Veterans Day is not like Columbus Day. It's
well, no, it's a full. Yeah, I know. I was just talking about that earlier. I mean, I have much respect for Chris, but we take the day off on Columbus Day and not Veterans Day.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No,
yeah.
We don't. I mean, we take Columbus Day off. The market's closed half a day on Columbus Day.
Yeah.
But not Veterans Day. But the bond market, traditionally, historically, the bond market has been the only market that closes. New York Stock Exchange stays open. NASDAQ stays open. But the bonds close. Today, the bonds stayed open.
We could use a few more holidays in the year. You know, they should have a holiday every month, because sometimes you need one in the middle of the month. Just to get you.
people in Australia laugh at Americans because they work so much.
Yeah, well, they do. I mean, listen, this business in Europe, they go. I mean, the whole continent shuts down for 6 or 8 weeks in the summer. You know, it's crazy. The silly season's coming here. I'd say, based on the Alibaba the numbers of Thanksgiving are going to be pretty good, and it's, you know, what, we're another week or two away from Thanksgiving. You know, we don't. Sometimes there's a rally into Thanksgiving, and sometimes there isn't. And because of the way we're getting, I mean, look, we've got the G20. That's probably going to help the market higher as the closer we get to that. I think the market's suffering right now from, I think last week when the election looked like it was went off without a hitch, the market liked that a lot. But then now with all these recounts and everything, that's definitely hurting the market today. The other problem is the Asian, you know, the emerging markets had a good attempt at a bottom, but maybe that's in jeopardy. You know, there's a lot of bad news coming out of China. Whether you noticed this weekend about there's supposed to be 50 million apartments that are empty. I mean, 50 million. The ghost cities were bad before.
Okay, say that again now. There's 50 million? 50 million what?
Apartments empty. Some crazy number of apartments in China. You know, whole cities that are empty. You know,
right.
We've seen that before, but it's like, then, you know, it's Ghost Cities 2.0. You know, it's a whole new generation. So and a lot of the car sales plunged. It looks, you know, if you take some of the data that came out recently, that country is not growing at 7%. I think that's a myth. You know, it's kind of a myth that's been sustained for a long time. They're probably, you know, if China's growing at 2 or 3%, that's like a recession to them, and they may actually be closer to negative growth right now. So it's and it could implode. You know, there's always a chance of some, you know, exogenous event coming out of nowhere. That's probably the biggest threat to the markets, you know, apart from the Democrats. That's the other big, you know.
See, that's the thing. Look at crude fall. Here we go. All right, guys, if you're in the alert channel, all right, here's what we've been waiting on. It's not big, but we'll take it. 60.20 to 59.95 gap close trade. As I said earlier, I cannot remember the last time I saw a gap on futures go unclosed. Stocks, they go unclosed all the time. Futures just doesn't happen. That's why this looks so unusual to me sitting up here. Get this out of the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about it, Dwayne. If that whole consolidation breaks down, that's really bad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not saying we can't take out these lows. All I'm saying, guys, is we'll at least come back to close the gap. And that gives you $250 per contract. That's what's available in that alert. You know, if you're that's per contract. And so if you trail it, as you had the opportunity to do on the S&P, on the Dow, on the Russell, and on the NASDAQ, trailing this could lead to some supersized gains, to say the least. All right, now this 50 million, for those of you who have not seen the ghost cities of China, we're not talking about something from the cowboy days. We're talking about today, modern day. They have built these incredible cities, almost like an homage or tribute to some unseen god somewhere. And they're vacant. They're empty. There's a couple of caretakers. I have to water the lawn, mow the grass, crack the window occasionally. I don't know. But there's nobody home. And it's spooky, and it's eerie, and it's scary. And you can go to 60minutes.com and watch that segment from the television program. What has that been now, John? It's been a few years, right?
It's out of date. The new one. There's an article this weekend. I think it's in Zero Hedge or somewhere.
Oh, okay.
It's. I mean, you know, these are beautiful looking towers. You know, and it's just sort of empty. It's amazing. You know, look, nothing, you know, these central planning economies, I mean, you got to give them you got to give the Chinese a lot of credit for doing what they've done, you know, getting China, you know, taking hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. But, you know, it's going to come back and bite them. And this is probably the beginning of a pretty tough time. And look, you know, you look at the U.S. economy.
Look at this chart. Look at this chart, John. I mean, is that what you're referring to right here?
Yeah, right. Now, well, that shows you. I mean, can you imagine if there is a property implosion, it's going to devastate the population over there.
Yes,
it's going to be like our housing crash, to the power of several.
Yes.
And the amazing miracle of the U.S. economy, which you were talking about it with Tom the other day about.
You need to get that. Go ahead.
No, hang on a second. It's just some sort of number I don't recognize. Just a second.
I'm amazed they're only at a little over 20% vacancy rate. Not as bad as I would have thought. But here's one of the ghost cities. Oh, they haven't even finished this one. They just keep building them.
One of those robocalls,
Oh boy. They say by 2020, over 50% of the calls you get on a cellular phone will be spam or robo or all the above. So here's one of the ghost cities under construction. Now, you're in this city. Look over here. Is that a different city in the background, or is that the same city? Can you see that, John? I don't know how clear it comes.
That was the one I was looking at. Isn't that amazing? That's a pretty cool picture. When you look
it is, but see this way back here? Is that a different city, or is it part of the same city?
No, I think, I see what you mean. No, it's probably part of the same city.
So think about each one of these buildings and how many bedrooms each one of these little apartments or homes has, or offices, whatever they are, how many, my goodness. And yet we got people around the world with no roof over their head. People sleeping outside, people sleeping wherever they can, homeless. We got veterans in America that are homeless, some by choice, some not.
Actually, I was watching the Grand Prix yesterday in Brazil, and it was in São Paulo. São Paulo is one of the biggest cities in the world, and look at that picture in São Paulo. They've got like thousands of buildings like that. I mean, literally thousands and thousands of apartment buildings in São Paulo. It's amazing. It's an amazing city. And Hong Kong. I mean, Hong Kong today is just. I mean, it's an amazing. I've been there about 30 times, and it's just an unbelievable place. It was when I was there in the past. It's a city that's ahead of its time. But you know what you were saying? I heard you were saying a little bit with Tom the other day about you look at 87.
Look at that, John. That's São Paulo. See it?
Yeah, there you go. Isn't it amazing?
It is.
Yeah.
Now, is this where the big Christ statue is?
No, that's in Rio de
Rio.
Janeiro.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
Yeah. So you were talking about the blip that 87 looks like, today on the chart, and 2009 is a minor blip as well, really larger scheme of things. But what's interesting when you look at world GDPs over the last 2 decades, you see Russia ran up to being a 2 trillion economy, and I mean it got cut in half with that oil when the oil crisis hit. The GDP literally went from 2 back to 1 trillion. That's a pretty big hit for any economy to take. And I think China is in danger of going the same way. Everybody's in awe because China today is a 12 trillion economy versus the US at 20.5 trillion. And they think that there's no, it's just going to keep going up. I'm not so sure. There could be a pretty. And it may not be in 2019. The real hit could come in the early 20s, which is what I'm kind of looking for. When gold goes through the roof and the markets take a hit. So that's kind of it doesn't necessarily mean China may just be going through the early stages of unraveling, and the government may be able to prevent that. For another year or 2 or 3.
And how much blame will Trump shoulder for the tariffs? The tariffs are, they're all his doing, but, if China implodes and everything you've talked about.
Well, look,
all roads lead back to Trump.
You buy stuff from China. You know, my son yesterday showing me a drill he got for like $20. It's got two battery packs of light, all kinds of drills, self-contained. I mean, he comes in, the first thing I said is, how can he make that for $20? You know, because it's a pretty sophisticated device.
Oh, there's another crimp we haven't talked about. Trump is putting another crimp in the Chinese economy for many, many years. Now, you'll have to research this because you probably have never heard of it before. But then again, maybe you have. There is some kind of post office mafia between the United States and Canada and China and all the other countries, you know, all the other developed nations. There's this post office mafia. Right now, someone in China, the person who made that drill, they could send that drill to me cheaper than I could send that drill across the street to my neighbor.
Probably.
No, it's a documented fact. And Trump has said on the record he's going to put a stop to that foolishness.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We're certainly going to see the price of Chinese goods go up.
Well, exactly. But I mean, you know, when you look at where they are today with the level of, you know, they're kind of like where Japan was years ago when
2 decades ago.
Yeah, when all the high quality stuff was coming out of Japan. I mean, really, China is there today.
Yeah, right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as I recall, when the first Japanese radios became popular here in the United States, that I remember, they were like considered junk. They were no good. But by the time I got to high school, if you were a hippie, man, you had what were the different ones? Give me the name of some stereo.
Well, Sony, Walkman,
yeah, and all of those. I mean, you had component stereo systems. Now, RCA was still grinding out the old, not quality one-piece units, but you were getting the component systems out of Japan. I keep trying to. There's one like AIWA. I don't even know how you pronounce that.
I remember that. Yeah.
And suddenly the junk transistor radios from Japan became high fidelity stereo equipment. What do you? That's a seismic change. I mean, what do you think brought that about? Demand?
Just determination and quality. You know, I mean, China's become very. Look at it. They had the big display this week, and their new jet, the J-20, I think it is. It's a pretty incredible jet. You know, it's could give the U.S. a run for its money. This new F-35. I mean, it's probably ripped off from several different planes in the U.S. It looks a lot like it, but when you look at the plane itself, it's aerodynamically very advanced, and so are the Russian planes, for that matter. You know, I mean, the Chinese aerospace industry is a real threat. It's still it's in its infancy, but it's a potential real threat to Boeing and Airbus down the road, because, you know, I mean, right now Boeing and Airbus obviously rule the world, but it's not going to, you know, there's no guarantees that that's going to continue. It's you know, the competition in the airline business is really heating up, and it doesn't help when the brand new plane falls out of the sky either. For a seemingly very elementary kind of technical glitch that should have never happened. There's one of the two of these aviation guys are saying they should have grounded all these planes because it's actually a pretty serious deal. I mean, this is the problem with being. This is what's so scary about flying. I know it's, you know, the safest form of transport statistically, but you know, if you're in the plane, it's not the one that crashes. It's not. That's right. And the thing is that it is so easy for something to go wrong on a plane. Like something this is just a tiny sensor that went wrong, and it, you know, affected the flaps at the back of the plane, put the thing in a nosedive, and they probably couldn't get out of it, or they, you know, I mean, the pilots said they're trained to get out of things like that, but you know, what happens if the pins got locked or something?
Now, Houdini, did he die in one of his own acts?
Don't know. I don't know. Can't remember.
The Great Escape artist. Yeah, I don't think he did. But there have been a lot of movies around that. You know, trying to get out of something moving that fast in any kind of, I don't see how that's possible. Do you fly? Have you ever flown?
Yeah, I've flown all kinds of things. I was my scariest flight was I was invited into the cockpit on a 727 flying to one of these islands, you know, Sarawak or somewhere like that in Indonesia. Okay. And these two guys were like a couple of cowboys. I mean, honest to God, I really didn't think we were going to make it. You know, the plane was sort of, you know, these show these planes getting hit by the wind. It was pretty windy, and you know, we were kind of veering around all over the runway, and fortunately we got down. But and another time, even it's a short flight from Trinidad to Tobago, it's only about 10 minutes. But you know, it's these guys who are on these kind of regular, like ferry type flights, they're probably the most dangerous, and these ones that go island hopping, because it's so routine for them that they lose their, you know, they kind of get complacent. You know what I mean? I do. It's the same at sea. I mean, you hear about this thing that happened last week. I mean, you've seen these problems with the U.S. naval ships getting hit by other ships. It's unthinkable in today's world, right? With all the technology and everything, and collision avoidance and everything else, especially with a naval vessel. And it happened again in Norway. A tanker rammed a frigate right up on the rocks. Really? Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, God forbid. I mean, there's been some disasters at sea. You know, Titanic and Andrea Doria and
Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah, there's been, look, you know, probably a dozen passenger liners that have gone down over the last century or so. But you know, fortunately, we haven't had anything bad happen with these incredible new cruise ships out there today, except for the one that hit the rocks in Italy. You know.
I haven't been on a cruise in many years.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's kind of routine, but there's always, you know, one of these days something's going to happen with one of those big ones. You know, I mean, you could be going.
How much bigger are the new ones?
They're so big. I mean, the Love Boat, which was my little ship, the Pacific Princess, was 20,000 tons, right? And it was a pretty big ship at the time, right? I mean, you remember the Love Boat, right?
Well, yeah, and that's the type that I took my cruises on.
Right, and then there was then they had a brief period where they tried to relaunch the Love Boat with, I think, that guy, the fellow who was in Dr. Evil movie. Good-looking guy.
James Bond, Roger Moore?
No, the fellow who lost his wife overboard.
And he was suspected of wrongdoing, right?
Yeah, he was the captain.
What was her name? Natalie
Wood. Yeah.
Natalie Wood. What was his name?
Yeah. Anyway, he was the captain. He was the new captain of the Love Boat, but that didn't make. That only lasted like a. You know, 10 episodes or something. Now that ship, just to give you an idea, that was about.
You're talking about Captain Stubing?
No. Oh God, I can't.
The doctor, the porter, the bartender.
No. The guy, Natalie Wood's husband.
But you say he was the captain of the Love Boat?
Robert, is it Robert? Somebody, Robert?
Oh yeah, Robert.
Robert Wagner. Robert Wagner.
There you
right?
go.
He was the captain on the second Love Boat. And that ship was, I think it was about 50 or 60,000 tons. It wasn't one of the biggest ones. Today, they're around 150, 160,000 tons. 150, 160. Think about that. I think the biggest one's about 168,000. You know, the one of the seas, Carnival, or the Odyssey.
Carnival's actually the ones I took my cruise on. Yeah.
And the Caribbean, you know, the Royal Caribbean. Those are the biggest ones today. They're up around 168,000 tons or so. You know, the tankers. Go ahead. The tankers are there's quite a few tankers out there today at about 500,000 tons. I think there's a couple of million-ton tankers out there, but there's definitely quite a few 500,000 tonners. And the tanker that hit this frigate was a pretty big one. You know, it looked like about a 200,000 ton tanker.
Are you? I'm sure you are familiar with the new retiring on a cruise ship.
Yeah, what do you mean? Where they buy an apartment on it?
I think that's. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Right.
Yeah, they've got. There's a few of those out there today.
Because you can retire on a cruise ship for less than $1 million, spending a chunk of your savings retirement on permanent quarters aboard a residential cruise ship may seem like a good option, but it won't come cheap. The World, for example, is a private residential ship that launched in 2002. The ship offers studio, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom residences starting at $600,000. I thought they were cheap. I thought you could get one a lot cheaper than that.
They got a new one called Utopia, but I think it's called Utopia.
There you go. Live aboard the World. Okay, here's Utopia Residences. That would be it.
That's the one, I think, yeah.
I love this. Just pop it up. Just pop it out and go back to work. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Here, let's see if we can goose it. Okay, this is on the cruise ship. I take it.
I don't know. Oh, it is. It probably is. Yeah.
Yeah.
See that fjord there? I think I've been up.
Oh,
that
here we
fjord.
go. There's a shot of it.
Yeah.
That's a big vessel.
Yeah.
Utopia. Now, so what does it cost to live on one of these? Do you know?
That's pretty expensive. That's it's kind of like buying those new apartments in Manhattan.
So, and on the one we just looked at, they said $600,000 to buy your permanent residence. Is that all inclusive? Does that include your meals?
I don't know. Don't know what the deal is, but probably not. But the new ones are in the millions. These new apartments.
Well, if you can afford to live on Fifth Avenue, you could probably afford to live on a cruise ship. So, you could probably, some people afford both. So, all right. What else you want to cover today? This Veterans Day?
No, listen. I think the dollar has gone to a new high, which is depressing the gold a little bit. But I think the dollar, you know, again. It's a very tricky deal, this dollar.
You think 1,200 is going to hold on gold?
If the dollar breaks tonight, it might. Yeah, it might. You know, if we get a turnaround on the gold tomorrow, which I think is possible, then I think the dollar might be in for a bit of a pullback. I think it's a bit overdone right now. But the dollar, you know, one of the reasons why the dollar went up yesterday is because Macron did an interview with Fareed Zakaria yesterday. It was quite a good interview, but you know, his popularity is down to 20% after winning a landslide, and he's trying to straighten out the French economy, which is a very tough job. And you know, he's talking about the euro, and he mentioned a few things about the dollar and how strong it was. And I guess the dollar was up today partly because he said that Europe wasn't ready to challenge the dollar yet, or something, some sort of comment like that. So
all right.
Yeah, we're
Robert just put
Robert
put in the chat room.
You know, there might be a better rally now off this possible double bottom here.
Yeah.
On this market.
Okay. Robert put into the chat room that the investigation that went on for so long about Robert Wagner and his involvement in the death of Natalie, it's been reopened. I think it's been reopened multiple times. He's always been suspected of having a hand in her demise. Robert also asked a question earlier. He said, do you think the Saudis are helping to push the oil down a bit lately with killing of Khashoggi? And I'm not sure.
Well, they're certainly, you know, probably doing more to please Trump than ever before. And since Trump doesn't like OPEC, they've talked about even breaking up OPEC and leaving it, which, if that was to happen, would be a huge coup for Trump, you know, because he's against this cartel that's kind of been controlling prices for so long. They can't really control prices. Well, we've proven, you know, they've proven that they can't control prices by the way things have been going on earlier this year.
Well, now that we're the largest oil producing nation in the world, that's a game changer.
Say that again.
The fact that the United States is now the world's
largest.
largest.
It's not just. By the way, the latest. Last month they produced 11.5 million barrels of oil per day. That's about a 1 million barrel jump, you know, over what they were doing just months ago. That's an incredible number, and I'm not sure what it is. I think the tar sands and everything out of Canada, it's about 4 million a day in Canada. May be wrong on that. And then 2 million a day in Mexico. It used to be 3 million in Mexico, but they're down at 2 now. And so when you add that to 11.5, you're sort of pushing 18 million barrels a day in North America production. That's pretty huge. By the way, Africa, when you take all the countries in Africa in its own right is kind of like a Saudi Arabia itself. It's pushing around 9 million barrels a day now, I think.
Is it really?
Total production out of Africa, yeah.
Now, the Chinese and the Russians both have been scooping up land left and right in Africa. I don't know how much of the land Africa even owns anymore.
There's a very good map. I think I've saved it. I'll probably send it over to you, maybe the tomorrow's show, that shows, I mean, the abundance of resources in Africa is really...
oh, I know. I mean, I've said this for so long. The Dark Continent is called the Dark Continent because it's been under the spell of witchcraft and darkness for so many generations that it seems no matter how hard Europeans or Americans work and endeavor to try to bring them out of darkness. I mean, I have stood on African soil. I have reached down with my own hand, picked it up, held it, looked at it, smelled it. And it is some of the richest, nutrient-rich soil on the planet. You can grow anything, and you don't have to worry about watering it because it rains regularly. But yet, people are starving to death. How is that possible? How is that possible?
You know, because you know, when you look at Ethiopia and Somalia, you wonder how they managed to survive as well as they have, because they've had a terrible time over the decades. Some of these countries, you know, I mean, with drought and everything.
There is a resurgence going on in Africa, and cryptocurrency is not playing a small role in that. It's playing a pretty substantial role. There are entrepreneurs and businessmen in Africa who have never had access to world capital markets, but because of crypto. I mean, we're talking people with brilliant ideas and incredible work ethic, but they got no birth certificate, so they can't open a bank account. Now suddenly, come on. This is a renaissance for the world, because, see, Americans and all first worlders, we kind of got a little bit smug and full of ourselves and maybe even a little lazy, but we're about to get our clocks cleaned by these third world entrepreneurs that are coming onto the scene. It's going to be a big thing. So much innovation to come. The poor fellow and his family who stood in the patent office that day, early 1900s, was it? And said, well, I guess we can close everything that can be invented. It's been invented. John, thanks.
That's the big surprise of the next few years is going to be innovation like never before.
I got to show you this before you go. You didn't bring it up, so maybe you don't know about it. Dubai flying what? Dubai flying what?
Bikes.
Motorcycle. The police there are already being trained to fly this thing. Right?
Yeah, I saw it.
Looked at it the other day. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
That's sort of a little bit like that movie, you know, the recent movies when they were driving around on those kind of sky bikes. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's coming, Wayne.
Well, now this one, let me get back to this one. This one is already in production. And the people who manufactured it are training the Dubai police how to fly it. And they'll be flying it.
You can get around pretty quick in Dubai on
now,
one
this
of those.
company, Hoversurf, this is probably one to watch. I'm assuming they're privately owned company. Hoversurf has started to train the first Dubai police force officers to fly its.
Kind of interesting because you just hop the traffic and you go down between those buildings. You know.
Picture this, Sean. You're doing crowd control. There's some big event, million-man march, parade, concert, whatever. One police officer can elevate himself up 10, 20 feet above the crowd. He now has the vision and line of sight of 10, maybe 50 police officers, just because he gets a little elevation. Can you imagine? You're going to see this. You'll be at a parade, and here'll come a guy. Like it'll look like he's bouncing off the heads of people as he goes down, and comes in over here, like you said, between buildings. Take a look. Okay, bank, head back out. Looks like he's bouncing off people's heads as he just hovers over them, making sure everybody's behaving. No open containers, right? This is wild, and it's here. It's not tomorrow. It's not 1984. It's 20,000 now. All right, John, thanks. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, wait, I sent you an email. Hit me up, because I don't have your number, and I need to lock in.
You got it. Okay, thanks very much.
All right, bye.
All the best.
Okay, guys, we're going to have to run here. Let's jump over to the good word for the day. We've covered the markets. I got mentoring sessions this afternoon. Let me take care of John's mic. Go to our good word for the day. Tomorrow we'll be back. Full day, full broadcast. All that jazz. All right, John's mic's off. They'll throw rocks at him, Bruce? Until he pepper sprays him once. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. When things seem to go wrong. That ever happen to you? You ever having problems with that? Things going wrong? It's no fun. Genesis 40:15 says, I've done nothing that they should put me in the dungeon. Who said that? Joseph. Joseph said, for indeed I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and also I've done nothing here that they should put me into the dungeon. But as we know, they did. Joseph had lived an exemplary life. He had made a fortune for his employer and had resisted the sexual advances of his boss's wife and stayed true to God in the process. So what was his reward? What did he get for all of this exemplary behavior? A prison sentence with no hope of parole. Since when does the high road lead off a cliff? Well, I guess ever since the entry of evil into the world. As long as 1 Peter 5:8, Satan prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he will devour, he will wreak havoc among God's people. He'll lock preachers like Paul in prison. He'll exile pastors like John to remote islands. He will afflict the friends of Jesus like Lazarus with diseases. But at the end of the day, his strategies always backfire. The imprisoned Paul wrote most of the New Testament. The banished John actually saw heaven. The cemetery of Lazarus became a stage upon which Christ performed one of his greatest miracles. The prison in which they placed Joseph became his stepping stone to the palace for which God had destined him. Looking back, he could say to the brothers who had sold him into slavery, "But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." But as for you, you meant evil, but God meant it for good. Sound like all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose? Yeah, but that's New Testament. I'm reading Old Testament, Genesis 50:20. But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people. I encourage you to look for God's purposes in the reversals of your life, and you'll begin to see them as stepping stones to blessing. When you hit a wall, you hit a point where you cannot go on, you got to pivot. When you pivot, that should get your attention, because if God's hand's in it, you'll overcome every obstacle. When you find the obstacle that you don't overcome, then perhaps that in and of itself is the experience that God needs you to go through so that you can accomplish what he put you here for. Look for God's purpose in the reversals of life, and you'll see them as stepping stones to blessing. It takes time, you got to train your eye, but you'll see it. Jeremiah 30:24. The Lord shall not turn his back until he has executed and accomplished the thoughts and intents of his mind. God's going to do what God's going to do. There ain't nothing we can do about it. We can rebel or we can go along for the ride. And we should want to go along for the ride. We should desire to go along for the ride. Yes, it'll probably take us out of our comfort zone. But that's where great things happen. How many mountaintop experiences did you ever have sitting on your couch watching Springer? I'm going to guess not a lot. God will use whatever circumstance you're in today, no matter how adverse or diverse, he will use the circumstances you're in, not the circumstances somebody else is in, not the circumstances you wish you were in. Wherever you are right now, high or low, God will use that to strengthen you, draw you closer, and accomplish his will for your life. Now, some might say his will in your life. You can say that, but you can also say his will for your life. Were you created for the purpose, or was the purpose created for you? Do the two go hand in hand? How do I know when it goes from a pullback to a full-on reversal? I can teach you that, but only God can teach you the other one. Talk to him. He's waiting. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. If you missed the webinar on Friday, CFRN Emini Passport, the alert service that produces these $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000 alerts on a continuous basis, 24/7. It's like the faucet in your kitchen. You need some trade setups to work, turn the faucet on. Here they come. Let you go for the day, turn it on. When you're ready to trade again, turn it on. You may not know this. The average trader spends 80% of their time just looking for the next trade setup. 80%, that's a lot. And we know that 9 out of 10 traders fail because they don't have a teacher. And once they do make it, spend 80% of their time looking for the next trade setup. On a 5-day week, that's 4 days, 80%. That's 4 days out of 5 you're looking. Well, I got news for you. Trading is the new looking with Logic 247 and the Passport. When you want to trade, turn it on. When you're done, turn it off. Turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. Stop looking, start trading with Logic 247. Thanks again for tuning in, whoever you are, wherever you are. May God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.